Welcome in, everybody. It has been 2 weeks since you guys saw us make one of these NFL videos. The break was fun, but it's Super Bowl time, and we are ready to go. We are so excited for this 49ers and Chiefs game. We hope you guys are too. With my man JJ, as always, and we're going to give you guys a wonderful last breakdown of the season to help everybody make some money. Let's get into it.
I get those goosebumps every time. I need the Heimlich, throw that to the side. I get those goosebumps every time, yeah. When you're not around, when you throw that to the side.
Welcome back in, everybody. Before we get things started, I wanted to mention that we are doing a giveaway for anybody who guesses the correct score in the comments. We'll be giving you a jersey of your choice. We'll contact you after the game if you get the right score, and we'll organize it then. So make sure you get that in. It's a free chance at a free jersey. Why not take it? Outside of that, JJ, my man, how are you doing?
Doing pretty good. I'm ready for some football.
Dude,
Unfortunately, it has to end.
I know. As much as it sucks that the Lions didn't make it, we couldn't have asked for a much better matchup in the Super Bowl, especially a rematch of one of the better Super Bowls we've seen in the last decade. So can't complain too much outside of being a Lions fan. All right, let's get into the slate. We're going to break down defensive coverages both on the receiving side and the run schemes, and then we're going to give you guys our best bets at always, a YouTube parlay, and then a couple of long shots that we both like. So let's get into it. JJ, I'll let you take the head on with the run schemes.
Yeah, so run schemes, both are going to be like closer to zone. But, I mean, looking at the KC defense first, their run defense hasn't been too good, but they adjusted well to the Ravens. But the Ravens don't really have that well of a run game already outside of Lamar. And Christian McCaffrey is a whole different breed. I think he's going to demolish them, especially when you run to the left. They have not defended it well all season and in the playoffs, allowing over 5 yards per carry. And this is with McCaffrey struggling in the playoffs running to the left. And usually he's averaging like 7 yards per carry during the regular season running to the left. So I expect some positive regression there. Looking at KC running the ball, 49ers have not been able to really stop the run that well. I mean, Detroit, they did very well. I think David Montgomery averaged like 6 yards per carry. Jahmyr Gibbs about 4, somewhere around there. And before that, obviously, we saw Aaron Jones just demolish them on the ground. I think the same can happen, but it depends on how the game script, like how KC wants to plan their game script out, because they could want to lean on Lamar. I was going to say Lamar. He don't want to go to the playoffs. He choked. So Patrick Mahomes, I think they're going to want to lean on Patrick Mahomes just because it's Patrick Mahomes. He has the experience. He's been there multiple times. And they want to give him another MVP. Are you pulling up the stats for the run game? Yeah.
Yeah. So David Montgomery had 6.2, Gibbs 3.8, Aaron Jones had over 100 yards on 6 yards per carry. And then we're getting into some of the scrubs of the regular season. Brian Robinson, 9 of 44, is still really good. Gus Edwards, 9 of 31. Justice Hill, 10 of 26. That was a good outing from them. But then James Conner, 14 of 86. You've talked about it both in previous playoff shows. Niners are kind of an overrated run defense right now. People just think of what they know about the Niners being a good defense in general. Without looking at the stats, just assume that they're a good run defense, because in years past, that's worked out pretty well. You would have been right. However, this year, at least recently, it is a lot different, like you're saying. So the Chiefs are going to have to lean on the run if they want to win this game. That's where they have more of a plus matchup. But then you see one of their guards is going to be out this game. So it's going to be interesting to see not only how much they're able to develop the run, but how much they even try and lean on the run. Because if it comes down to just Mahomes slinging it 50 times in the game, obviously you want to put your money on Mahomes. He's more or less the reason you're there. But at the same time, if he doesn't have any supporting cast, we might see a rerun of what happened in that Bucs-Chiefs game and Bucs-Chiefs Super Bowl a couple years back, where it's just that's not enough all on his own. So we'll see what happens. Yeah. But the matchups there, it's just a matter of, is the team that runs the highest pass rate over expected, willing to run the ball or not, which that's going to be the big question.
Definitely.
And then, yeah, you talked about on the Chiefs side, they're horrible on the left side. I mean, McCaffrey hasn't been great running the left side in the playoffs, but as long as Trent Williams is on that left side, I mean, you're still going to be betting on him to do well running to that side. So,
yeah,
and
I think he still had 90+ yards in both games, while averaging like 2.5 yards per carry running to the left. So, I mean, if they give him any sort of room to the left, he's going to go crazy today.
Not to mention what I'm going to get into. This is a very, very plus matchup for Christian McCaffrey in the receiving game. So I'll start off with the Chiefs, at least since I have it pulled up on the screen right now. So this is since week 10 against zone. The Niners are running zone at what would be the highest rate in the NFL in the playoffs. They're running zone, I think, 89% of the time. So we're looking at zone coverage for the Chiefs. You see Rashee Rice and Travis Kelce are both pretty close, 2.4 yards per out run, 1.7. But the two key things are Travis Kelce he has a higher ADOT, and Rashee Rice has more yards after the catch. And Rashee Rice has a much higher target percentage when Mahomes isn't pressured or isn't blitzed. Meanwhile, Kelce gets way more work when Mahomes is blitzed or is pressured. The reason that's important is the 49ers refuse to blitz. So in a game where they're just going to be constantly rushing with 4, who knows how much pressure they're actually going to be able to get. That leans a lot more towards Rashee Rice, especially considering the fact they're way weaker against yards after the catch than air yards. So Rashee Rice, I think, is quietly in one of the best spots in this game. I think the only one with a more plus matchup in this game is Christian McCaffrey, both on the rushing and receiving side of the ball. Because let me pull this up right here if I can find it. Where's my notes? Here it is. So the Chiefs play a lot of too high, which is good for both Debo and Christian McCaffrey. The reason that I like Christian McCaffrey much more than Debo is Christian McCaffrey's numbers against those coverages are wide receiver numbers. So you're getting wide receiver numbers for a running back on top of an already stellar run attack. And as far as Debo, I think the Niners, we'll get into this a little bit more, but I think the Niners have a better chance of winning this game. Ayuk gets more work when the Niners win. Debo, for some reason, gets a lot more work when they're behind or in closer games. And on top of that, Debo is he's not a gadget guy. Obviously, he's like a pure wide receiver talent. But at the same time, he's used much more creatively, and I think it depends way more on what Kyle Shanahan draws up rather than just telling him to go out there and win his routes. And I hate predicting stuff like that because none of us are in the mind of Kyle Shanahan, whether we like to believe it or not. So I'd much rather rely on Christian McCaffrey. We know he's going to get crazy usage. We know he's in a good matchup. I think he's in a great spot. And then again, we talked about the Chiefs. They're going to be playing against the zone coverage, which favors Rashee Rice a lot. So takeaways, Rashee Rice to the moon, Christian McCaffrey to the moon. Ayuk actually does not get much targets when the quarterback is either blitzed or under pressure, which the Chiefs do at top 10 rates for both. So I'd stay away from him, especially against too high, which the Chiefs run a lot. That also, again, that favors Debo and CMC rather than him. So Ayuk, while I'll never bet against him, it's not a good look for him. And then
plus
the last,
the Snead matchup as well.
Exactly. Snead's been locking number one options up all season. Again, Ayuk is that guy. He'll win more routes than he'll lose. But why target Ayuk when you have easier matchups elsewhere and can win that way? Exactly. And the last thing that I was going to mention was for Kelce, even though he won't get as many targets, I won't think he'll get as many targets as Rice because of the splits for pressures and blitzes. I think his longest reception is in play because although the Niners allowed the 7th lowest targets to tight ends in the slot, they also allowed the most yards after catch per reception and the most air yards per target. So all it takes is one play for Kelce, especially against a matchup like this. We're not betting on volume for a longest reception. We're betting on a single play. And that's what we can get in a matchup like the Niners. That's all I got on the receiving side, JJ. You got anything?
And I think that's all we need.
Anything else, or should we go on to our best plays?
I mean, if you want to cover red zone, or we can do it when we get to their best bets too.
Yeah. So I'll do it as we talk about our best bets since they go hand in hand. But so Niners are 2-point favorites. The over/under is 47.5. I think. Let me get rid of these two. We'll talk about that later. I think the under is very much in play. I think it opened lower than this, and my plan was the second lines were gonna open. I was gonna attack Niners and the under, and then I realized that the public was gonna be going the complete opposite way, just because of Super Bowl gambling. 99.99% of people betting on this are not sharps. They want to take Mahomes with plus money, and they want to see an entertaining game with the over. However, both red zone defenses, I think, are top 11, both over the season and recently. And I think both teams should be relying on the run if they want to have a better chance of winning this game. So combine a slower paced game with good red zone defenses, I think there's not going to be as many drives, and they're going to have to be hyper efficient if they want to go over this line against a bad matchup. So I'd say under 47.5.
I'm expecting a lot of long drives as well.
Exactly. And it's both defenses are kind of bend, don't break mentality. So even if they do pass it, it's like, hey, you're not beating us over top. You're going to have to catch it and run for 15 yards max. And that's also good for the under. So I'd say under 47.5. And then I didn't get a chance to talk with JJ much about this, but I like the Niners -2. I think both teams had their fair share of like playoff fluky stuff that helped them get there, with the Brandon Ayuk tip off the helmet and then Zay Flowers fumbling at the 1 yard line. But I just think the Niners through and through are a better team than the Chiefs. The Chiefs have Patrick Mahomes, and in my opinion, that's not enough when the other 21 guys are not to the level of a team like the 49ers. Meanwhile, the 49ers, they're probably worst player on the field, Brock Purdy. People have been arguing about him being an MVP candidate for 80% of the season. So it's hard to imagine the 49ers being a much more well-rounded team. I think they also have a better matchup.
I think the 49ers defensive line is going to cause a lot of problems for them too.
Yeah, I mean,
think that's going to make it tough for Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes. The Chiefs are at their best when Patrick Mahomes is scrambling and just absolutely ruining the defense. But if you're rushing with 4, obviously he can break out, but then where are you breaking out to? The Niners are one of the best teams across the middle of the field. Where do the Chiefs love to go? Across the middle of the field. It's just, and now one of their all-pro tackles or all-pro linemen are out. So it doesn't look good for the Chiefs. And on top of all that, I think a lot of people will say that the Super Bowl the Chiefs won against the Niners. 1, that still stings on the Niners. 2, they went and got Christian McCaffrey specifically for this matchup in the Super Bowl, I think at least. And 3, the Chiefs don't exactly have Tyreek Hill to bail them out with 60-yard throws if they get down again. So everything is screaming.
Mahomes is definitely going to get sacked probably like 3 times tonight.
It's
going to be tough.
Everything's screaming Niners, and I know I've said this for both Chiefs Bills and Chiefs Ravens, but again, I think the Ravens and the Bills both just threw that game away. I don't think that the Chiefs actually dominated either of them. So I'm going to take Niners -2 and the over-under, or I'll take the under 47.5. As far as props, JJ, I'll let you get yours out of the way first.
McCaffrey rushing plus receiving. I mean, we talked about him all episode long. I mean, you got to take it.
Yeah, no, it's just staring us in the face. It's like, who else are the Niners going to go to? For those who follow me on Twitter, you saw, I don't know if I can find it here. When the lines first opened, me and A1 Fantasy, we took Christian McCaffrey to finish with the most rushing plus receiving yards in the game. It was -145 when we posted. I made it a 2.5 unit play. It is -200 now, if I'm not mistaken. So we got great value there. But the reason I took it, not only because of value, but because I knew this was going to be a great matchup for him. On the receiving side, Rashee Rice should have a game. Again, Brandon Ayuk unders the numbers are there. I'm personally not going to play it. Christian McCaffrey overs are there. Deebo Samuel over is in play. Again, I don't trust him. I want to go longest reception for Travis Kelce. 20.5. I think that's a great look. And then our long shot props, JJ. Do you have one different than the one that I have, or are we going to be riding the same one?
We're going to be riding the same one.
Let's see if I can get it pulled up. Oh, I remember. I know what tab it's on. So we're going to be looking at most receiving yards. Where is it? Rashee Rice, plus 300. This is just, it feels like a smash spot for him. I'll probably be taking him straight as well. I just didn't want to ruin the suspense for the long shot prop. Rashee Rice finished with the most receiving yards in the game. Ayuk's plus 240. He's the best odds. I don't like this matchup for him. Between Rashee Rice and Travis Kelce, both their numbers are similar. And then when you look at the pressure and non-pressure splits, that favors Rashee Rice big time. Again, I think his biggest threat here is Deebo Samuel. But again, I don't know if I trust Deebo Samuel, the consistency of Deebo Samuel. I think I'm just going to ride Rashee Rice. And then past Deebo Samuel, I don't think any of these guys are legitimate threats for longest receive or most receiving yards. So it's Rashee Rice all the way for me.
The volume should be there tonight.
Agreed. And then last pick. Where is it? Both of these over 22.5 for jersey number of first and last touchdown score. If I could parlay both of these, I would. You're giving me Christian McCaffrey, Travis Kelce, Noah Gray, and who was the last one? There's one other, and George Kittle. First, Ayuk, Deebo, and Rashee Rice, and Isaiah Pacheco. I'm taking those first four all day. Give me that. 22.5 for both. I think these are horrendous. I think they need to at least juice these to like minus 160 or something. Because I know if they give us 23.5, everybody's going to take the over for McCaffrey. But you're giving me multiple red zone threats and then Christian McCaffrey. Come on now. 22.5 over. That seems free. Anything else we got to go over? Is that it?
That's it.
If you guys don't like the under 47.5, by the way, I recommend going to special teams props and just taking both kickers over field goals made because it's more or less the same read. We're not predicting that the offenses are going to shit the bed. We're predicting that they're going to get in the red zone, have some trouble, and have some slower drives. So if you think the offense will be fine, they'll get in the red zone, then they're probably going to kick 2 field goals. Go ahead and take those. But yeah, under 47.5, Niners spread, McCaffrey rushing plus receiving, Travis Kelce longest reception, Rashee Rice most receiving yards in the game, and you can take his straight for receiving yards if you want. I probably will. Or you can just ladder his receiving yards if you don't want to gamble on other people not doing well. Completely support that as well. And then over 22.5 for first and last touchdown score. That's everything. So that wraps up our last NFL episode of the season. And man, has it been a great season. This was our first year doing the YouTube videos like this, and it's been great. I know JJ's given out a lot of sharp advice. I'd like to think I at least helped some of you guys as well. But we appreciate every one of you guys who have watched these videos. And now that NFL is done, we're going to have to start getting into some NBA content, so stay tuned for those. I'll send updates out to those on Twitter, probably either Monday or Tuesday, and we'll get that thing rolling. But JJ, I'm going to miss doing these with you every week.
I know. I enjoyed it, though. We'll be back next season for the NFL.
Oh, yeah. Again, make sure you guys comment your predicted score. If you're right, we will be sending an NFL jersey to somebody who gets it right. The first person who gets it right, I should clarify that. And make sure you like and subscribe if you haven't already. We will see you guys. If you only care about NFL, we'll see you guys next season. If you guys like to bet on NBA as well, we'll see you guys in the next video. Take care, everybody.